Greetings, my lost lambs. I am the Howlerist. You've stumbled into my domain, where shadows have teeth and whispers scream. Here, in the space between moonlight and madness, I create tales that most dare not speak of. Tonight, I have a story for you, one that lurks in forgotten corridors and lives on in photographs and memories. But first, if you hunger for more darkness, join the pack. Subscribe. Let the algorithm know you belong here, in the shadows. Now, relax and let the fear engulf you. Chapter 1. Arrival. Shelley was beyond excited. Mr. and Mrs. Brad White. It wasn't long now until she would finally take her fiancé of 3 years as her husband. They had been planning their July wedding in the historic hotel where they had first met. The original building opened in the 1880s, and even though it had been partially destroyed by fire in the early 1920s, it had been redeveloped and expanded over the years until it had become the grand structure it was today. A 5-star, 760-room luxury hotel resort, complete with spa, bowling alley, tennis courts, and even its own golf course. Shelley and her maid of honor and best friend Emma were laughing hysterically as the car door was opened for them by a handsome young man dressed in a blue uniform. "Welcome to the Weller Springs Hotel, ladies. May we help you with your luggage?" he said politely. The ladies, still giggling, nodded as they gathered up their handbags and stepped out of the vehicle. The attendant gestured to the porter and then escorted the ladies to the reception area to check in. "Good morning and welcome. What name for your reservation?" The reception clerk was a pretty and welcoming young lady, also wearing blue. "Lane for one night," Shelley beamed. "I'm getting married tomorrow." "Ah, Miss Lane, congratulations. Yes, the hotel is all abuzz with preparations for your big event tomorrow, and your guests have been arriving all morning. You must be so excited." "I am. I just can't wait." And the girls were giggling again like schoolgirls. "They met here, you know," Emma interjected proudly. 7 years ago, right here in the hotel. The porter had mixed some of their bags up, you know. Quite the twist of fate. "Wow, really? That's amazing. Well, we will certainly ensure that your luggage arrives safely to the correct room this time. We'll have our best man on it for you. Here is your room key card, ladies. Your room for tonight is on the 3rd floor. Joseph here will escort you. Please don't hesitate to let us know if we can help you with anything at all." "Thank you so much," Shelley said, and the two, still giggling, followed Joseph towards the elevator. Emma started to chit-chat with Joseph as they walked, but Shelley noticed her bags on a trolley that was being wheeled by a gray-haired gentleman towards the service lift. As he moved the trolley along, he turned slowly to meet her gaze for a moment. His eyes were very dark, almost black, and he was very pale in complexion. He smiled briefly as he moved, then he disappeared into the lift and was gone. Shelley hadn't realized, but she had stopped walking. Emma and their escort were already in the guest elevator waiting for her. "Come on, old girl," Emma joked. And once again, they both had the giggles as they headed up to the room. As they entered the corridor on the 3rd floor, Shelley heard familiar voices calling out to her. "Mom, Dad, so glad to see you," she squealed as she ran to greet them. "Can't believe our little girl is getting married tomorrow. You're going to be such a beautiful bride," her mom said as she kissed her cheek. "So we've checked on Brad. He is safely tucked away in the honeymoon suite on the 5th floor. So no seeing him before your big day. Okay, baby girl?" her dad stated, rather than asked. "Take good care of her, Emma. and I will see you girls later on this afternoon for our spa party." "Sure thing, Mrs. Lane," Emma said with a smile. As they turned once again to follow Joseph, Shelley caught another glimpse of the porter now leaving their room after delivering the luggage. He walked straight past her, and those dark eyes once again met her gaze. This time, he winked at her as he passed by. Shelley paused for just a moment, then turned to see that the corridor behind her was completely empty. "Come on, Shells, time to party." Chapter 2. Perfect Day. The wedding party had all assembled in order of entry outside the ballroom. The 450 guests were waiting inside for them to make their grand entrance after returning from their photo shoot out at the lake, which had taken a couple of hours to complete. The stage was set, and the DJ played their entrance song while the best man announced the party as each entered. As he made the final introduction, the crowd roared, "Presenting Mr. and Mrs. Brad White." Shelley looked so beautiful, and Brad held her hand proudly as they entered the ballroom together for the first time as man and wife. Both couldn't keep from smiling, and Brad felt like the luckiest man alive. The reception was an amazing event. Everything had gone perfectly to plan, right down to the best man's speech, which Brad had been secretly worried about due to a previous excess beer incident. When the evening was over, the crowd formed a long line, and the couple spent a long time farewelling everyone as they made their way towards the ballroom exit. At the very last moment, they were bombarded with one last shower of rice and confetti before the doors closed and they were finally alone. "Well, Mrs. White, shall we?" Brad said as he motioned towards the elevator. "Yes, Mr. White, let's do." They were floating on air as they headed to the honeymoon suite after the most perfect day imaginable. What a wonderful way to begin their life together. Chapter 3. Main Event. Brad and Shelley were awakened suddenly to the sound of smoke alarms chiming through the darkness. Beyond that was another alarm blaring outside their room as well. They threw on their robes and ran out into the corridor. The hallway was filled with smoke, and there were a number of hotel staff directing panicked guests towards the stairs. As they followed these directions, Shelley was panicking about her mom and dad. "I have to find them, Brad. Dad's asthma. We need to get to them," she spluttered. "It's okay, babe. We'll stop at the 3rd floor and make sure they get out safely. Don't worry." Brad tried to reassure her as they headed into the stairwell. There were more staff helping guests as they moved down the stairs. The hotel had been fully booked, so there were a great number of terrified people trying to make their way out of the building. Movement was slow, but steady, and reasonably calm due to the well-rehearsed staff maintaining order as the disaster unfolded. When they reached the 3rd floor, Brad and Shelley headed towards the door that led out into the corridor, but the staff member stationed there refused to let them enter. "I'm sorry. I cannot allow you through," the man said calmly. "But my parents are on this floor. We need to make sure they're all right," Shelley screamed desperately. "I understand, but you must continue down the stairs. You cannot go that way. Please, make your way out of the building." Brad tried to reassure her, but she was inconsolable. "Please," she cried. "I have to get to them." "Try not to worry, miss. Our staff have been busy making sure everyone is out of the hotel safely. I'm sure your parents are okay," the man said as calmly as he could. "Just a quick look. I can just run and double-check. It won't take a moment," Brad begged him. "No, sir, I'm sorry. But you must exit the building. Please." Shelley was hysterical. Brad was doing his best to calm her, but she was crying inconsolably. Another staff member had to help him escort her down the remaining 3 flights of stairs and out of the building. As they exited the foyer, Shelley heard someone calling out their names. Shelley, Brad. Thank goodness you guys are all right. It was Emma, and the 3 embraced, relieved to find each other in all the chaos. Have you seen Mum and Dad? Shelley cried. No, Shells, not yet. But more people are still coming out. They'll be okay, you'll see. As the 3 stood huddled together, Shelley turned back towards the hotel, only to see that the 3rd floor was entirely engulfed in flames. Fire was visible in every window on that level, and just as she noticed the sirens that were moving closer, there was a loud explosion that made everyone duck for cover. Glass was now raining down over everyone, and the crowd had started running away in terror. When the fire brigade arrived, there was little they could do but to try and get the blaze under control. The old building had gone up like a tinderbox, and it seemed that there was little hope of rescuing anyone who had not already made it out. The crowd could do nothing but watch helplessly as the buildings were destroyed before their very eyes. Shelley was completely numb. How could the most amazing day end in such tragedy? Chapter 4. A New Day. As the dawn was breaking, Shelley, Brad, and Emma wandered around the outside area, searching for her mom and dad. It seemed that no one had seen them. Finally, in desperate exhaustion, Shelley collapsed into Brad's arms. He lifted her up and carried her to a waiting ambulance. She was taken to a nearby hospital where she awoke a few hours later. As she opened her eyes, there at her bedside along with Brad were her parents. "Mom, Dad, I thought I'd lost you," she cried with relief as they all held each other. There, baby girl. We're fine." "Yes, Shells. We're just worried about you. Brad said you collapsed. We've been waiting for you to wake up," her mother wept as she kissed Shelley's cheek. "But how?" "I watched the whole 3rd floor burning. How did you get out?" She was still crying. Dad explained. "By the time the alarms went off and we opened the door to the hallway, it was already well alight. The heat was so strong, and there was just nowhere to go. We could do nothing but go back into our room and hope for the best. We had to lay down on the floor just to get some air." "Oh my, that's terrifying. But how?" "It was the porter," her mom said calmly. "As we were laying there, a porter just appeared in the doorway. He motioned for us to follow him. He had one of the luggage trolleys covered with wet blankets waiting in the corridor. There was another guest already in the trolley too. The porter covered us all and wheeled us out." "Where did he take you?" Brad asked. "Did he wheel you to the stairs?" "No, not the stairs," Dad said. "He wheeled us to the service lift. That was still working. I don't know how he did it, but that old gray-haired gentleman saved us." "Gray-haired gentleman?" Shelley said, remembering the man that had transported her luggage the day they had arrived. "This porter, what did he look like?" "Well, all I remember about him is that he was pale in complexion, and his eyes were very dark, almost black. He saved us." The 4 embraced again, so relieved that they were all safe from their terrifying ordeal. Chapter 5. The News. The hotel fire made the news. It was later revealed that the fire had started in a linen storeroom on the 3rd floor as a result of an electrical fault. Luckily, everyone had escaped safely, and apart from smoke inhalation and some minor injuries, all guests and staff had been accounted for. There had also emerged a number of strange reports of a gray-haired gentleman with a pale complexion and dark eyes that had safely escorted a number of guests to safety that night, and police were trying to find this man to no avail. It turned out that the other man in the porter's luggage trolley that night was the wedding photographer. He had called Shelley to check on how her parents were doing and to let her know that he had already put the wedding films in his car that night after the reception, because he had intended heading off early that fateful morning to another photo session. The next week, a box arrived from him by courier to Brad and Shelley's home. Brad signed for the parcel, and they both sat down, excited to view their wedding pictures. They opened the box and started looking at the albums together. As they went through the beautiful photos, smiling and laughing at some of the images that reminded them of their perfect day, Brad suddenly froze. "Hang on," he said as he drew a hesitant breath. "Who is this guy?" He pointed to a gray-haired gentleman standing in the background of a photo that was not taken at the hotel, but out by the lake in the afternoon when all the other guests were waiting at the reception. "There's no way," Shelley gasped. She and Brad stared at each other in disbelief, then back at the picture. "That is the porter. I saw him when we checked in." "I've seen him too, Shells. 7 years ago. He was the porter who mixed up our bags the day we first met." As they looked through the albums, the porter who had saved Shelley's parents, the photographer, and 15 other hotel guests appeared in 18 of their wedding photographs. The same number of guests that he had rescued from the flames that fateful night.